Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hi, Chris Myers. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting, Life Unscripted. How are you today? I'm so grateful to have you here today.
I'm awesome, Christina. It's a pleasure being here, and thank you for having me.
You betcha. You are going to share your company doing wonderful work in the world, making sure people have safe, clean water. Envirotestkits.com. They can find out how to get clean water, safe water. But I'm curious, what brought you into doing this as a business and bringing safe, clean water to people?
Sure. Well, I started out in college. I thought I was going to play professional baseball. That didn't work out. I had a tryout. But I didn't make the team. So I went back to college, and the good Lord had a different plan for me, Christina. I went back to Indiana University and met my wife there, and actually doubled my major. Instead of being major in biology, minor in chemistry, I got a double major. And so that put me in a position to where I chose some electives in environmental sciences. So I thought then I was going to teach and coach. I wasn't going to play professional baseball, I'll teach and coach. They should let you do your student teaching sooner. I did my student teaching. I was like, okay, this isn't what I want to do. And I was in a biochemistry class with a gentleman. He said, you know what, Chris, we could use someone with your background in environmental science. He said, if this teaching gig doesn't work, you give me a call. And I called him not long after. And I said, Frank, is that job still open? He said, there's 2 days left on the interview process. So I moved to Madison, Indiana, married my wife, took the job with AEP, and started out as an environmental scientist for AEP. And then, 3 children later, a mortgage, I started looking for extra income. So I was moonlighting on the side, consulting to different industries and municipalities. About drinking water, wastewater, and solid waste, which is my background, regulated testing, how to fill out permits and send those into the regulatory agencies like the US EPA, State Department of Health, Department of Environmental Management, county health departments, local city ordinances, people who require these people to test their wastewater, solid waste, or drinking water. Well, before long, Christina, I was making more money consulting than I was working for AEP. So a light bulb came on, and I talked to my wife. She cried when I told her I wanted to leave AEP. I wanted to buy a laboratory and start our own laboratory and consulting firm. So we did. In 1982, we incorporated, and almost 40 years ago, we started Environmental Laboratories, Inc. And then that's brought us to date with the drinking water test kits. And that's a whole nother story. The Rainbow Bottle Program, we've been doing regulated testing for almost 40 years. About 6 years ago, we had people who were going to county health departments and soil and water conservation districts saying, individuals, homeowners, we want to test our drinking water. So we took these little 150 milliliter bottles. One bottle was for bacteria. So we put one colored dot on it. Another one was for nitrate and nitrite. Another one was for metals. So we had 6 bottles, and homeowners could go into the soil and water conservation districts, county health departments, take the bottles with the paperwork home with them for free. Then they would call us with their credit card and tell us what they wanted to test. We took the credit card information. They paid for the testing, filled the bottle, took it back to the soil and water conservation district or the county health department, and our route drivers would pick them up. That was 6 years ago. That brought us all the way forward to, we set up a new division in viral test kits. We registered that trademark and we own that. The Safe Home brand of drinking water test kits that are produced and manufactured and distributed by Viral Test Kits are under the brand name of Safe Home. And so now we're in Menards. We're on Amazon, Home Depot.com, and a host of other locations. And so now we sell drinking water test kits for use by the general public in 12 different countries.
Okay. That is so amazing, your story, because you said God has a plan for me, and boy, is that true for a lot of people. You go in with one idea of this is where I think I'm meant to be here, my purpose, and then you end up in a totally different area, and serving the world so amazingly. Now, when you go to 12 different countries, how are you helping them there? Is there water? I'm guessing they need your help more than they do even here in the United States.
Well, they do, but let me give you an example. The National Library of Medicine conducted a survey and found that in one 12-month period in the United States, 19.5 million Americans reported a water-related illness, either through a health department, their doctor's office, or a hospital emergency room. So there's more water-related illnesses in the United States than people realize.
Wow, that's
Gallup
amazing.
conducted a poll. Oh, when was that? 2016, I think. Gallup conducted a poll and found out they wanted to see what level of interest there really was in the United States for testing water. 61% of American households, that's 76 million households, said they not only wanted to know if their water was safe, but they were willing to test it to find out.
Yeah.
So those kind of metrics told us that, hey, there's something out there. There's people who want to know that their water is safe. So we have two platforms of testing. One is do it yourself. Yeah, the test kits where you take it to your home. It's test strips or it's vials and it's colorimetric endpoints, and it tells you approximate values of certain parameters or contaminants that may be in your water, and if they're at or above the US EPA action levels or maximum contamination limits. But it's limited. Do-it-yourself testing has two issues. One, background interferences, physical or chemical properties that can be in the water that will prevent the do-it-yourself testing from being accurate or maybe even inconclusive. It won't give you any results at all. And it's not just our do-it-yourself test kits, it's anyone's do-it-yourself testing mechanisms. It's the nature of the beast. And two, they give you approximate values. It's great for screening your water, don't get me wrong. I mean, like this little guy right here, this is a do-it-yourself test kit that we have online that tests for lead. It gives you an approximate value. It tells you if your concentration of lead is above or below the US EPA's action level of 15 parts per billion. But then we have this test kit, our platform for in-lab testing. This is also a lead test kit, but this kit, you actually fill the vials, drop the box in your mailbox, free return shipping to our EPA certified lab. Then we perform the testing on high-end analytical equipment with certified scientists. And we're going to tell you exactly how much lead is in your drinking water, down to 1 part per billion, 3 decimal places of accuracy. And this is the only lead test kit in the world that will tell you how much lead is coming from your water supply, whether it's your city water supply or your well water, and it will give you a lead value, if any, of what's being leached from your plumbing fixtures in your home.
Oh my God, I had no idea. And we have some weird plumbing in the bathroom that smells really funky sometimes. Yeah. Now you just put you just said something very interesting. See, I thought, well, isn't the water in the United States the safest probably in the world? And now you're mentioning that, well, some of the contaminants can come from the pipes themselves. It doesn't, or other places. It doesn't necessarily have to be that the water itself, the refinery, are not doing a good job with our water supply, but there could be other ways that
Sure. Most city utilities are doing a great job with the water, and the United States does have some of the safest water in the world. You're absolutely correct. But people don't realize how many people get sick from bad water. I mean, it could be everything from microbiological contamination like E. coli. That's why you got your boil water advisory. Anytime they have a ruptured line, a utility, they have to have 2 consecutive clean samples from microbiological contamination. And until they get those, and that test is 24 hours. So they have to have 2 days in a row of clean samples from coliform bacteria, including E. coli. It has to be total coliform negative, and it has to be E. coli negative. And as long as it is for 2 consecutive samples, then they'll take your boil water advisory off, and then you're good to go. But if they have a line that ruptures, or they're putting in new mains, new water lines into the system, they have to do the same thing. They have to flush it with chlorinated water. Then they have to take 2 consecutive samples. They'll take some at the facility, the utility itself. Then they'll take some in homes. out in the system, in the fingers of the system. The larger the utility, the more water samples they have to collect.
Mhm.
But as soon as all those are clean and green, then your boil water advisory goes off.
Well, I just heard you say something interesting. Do they use chlorine to clean it up? Is that it, or
Yeah, well, chlorine
chlorinated?
is a disinfectant, so they flush the lines with clean, safe water, but it has to be
Mm.
chlorinated because chlorine is a disinfectant. That's
Okay.
what kills the coliform bacteria, including E. coli. It has to be a certain ratio. It has to be a certain amount of chlorine, and this is very important, a certain contact time. So it's not just about the chlorine going past the bacteria. The
Mhm.
chlorine has to be in contact with the bacteria for an extended period of time for it to kill all the bacteria to where there's 0 CFUs or colony forming units of
Wow.
coliform bacteria.
This is fascinating because I'd always wondered why they use chlorine in pools. And then one guy told me years ago, which I don't think he's right. Maybe he is. He had said that every night he takes a bath and he puts 2 capfuls of bleach in there to keep himself extra clean and safe. I'm like,
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
I'm not gonna weigh in on that one. I can talk to you about testing drinking water, to this time tomorrow, but yeah, I'm not gonna weigh in on that one.
I was like,
But again, there's more than bacteria, Christina. Goodness sakes, I mean, like lead. Wichita Falls, Texas, San Diego, California, Newark, New Jersey, Detroit, Michigan, Flint, Michigan. There's just a host of places where the utilities have problems, but there are over 14 million. Now, listen to this number: over 14 million private wells
wow.
that are used in the United States by homeowners.
Mm.
So they don't have any city water supply that is treated by chlorine and other chemicals to remove, to actually establish good balance of fiscal properties,
Yeah.
to remove heavy metals, inorganics like nitrates and nitrites, and organic, volatile, and semi-volatile organics that are carcinogens. City water supplies have those treatment capabilities. People who are on well water don't have that. And according to where you drill down your well, it hits an aquifer, an underground river. That's what an aquifer is. It's an underground river. The Ogallala Aquifer touches 8 different states, 764,000 square miles in the central part of the United States. That's one aquifer. That's an underground river that many states and that many people are accessing, driving their wells down to. And we could get into talking aquifers, but aquifers are underground rivers that sit at different depths below the Earth's crust. And
now,
so
were these natural or are these created by man?
No. Well, the underground rivers are natural.
Wow.
That's how the planet passes its water around below the surface. It's called groundwater. Water above the surface, rivers, streams, lakes, and so on, through condensation, evaporation. The water cycle on above the Earth's crust. It evaporates up into the clouds.
Yep.
It saturates and then it falls back down again. And then again, that's another subject to get into. But surface waters are totally different from groundwaters. Groundwaters are below the Earth's surface, but 14 million Americans are on well water, and many of them have no idea what's in there. Pesticides, herbicides, heavy metals. I mean, I could tell you stories. Well, we don't have time for this, but I'm telling you, I could tell you stories that are amazing about people with horses who tested their water. They had a cattle or a horse ranch, and they had the horses were contaminated by organic contaminants from an industry 60 miles away.
Wow.
That was putting refuse on their property. It went down through the Earth's crust, accessed the aquifer, got to this well water supply on this ranch. And they had a huge, how do I say it, horse breeding business. And so they had studs and mares and the foals, but the mares and studs were dying.
Oh my God.
The foals were being born stillborn or deformed. And it's just like they'd been on the ranch for 7 years, and this all of a sudden this started happening over a 3 or 4 month period. And we got involved and tested the water and found out that there was toxic levels of this particular organic compound. And so they got legal people involved, and they traced the aquifer and found out there was a huge lawsuit.
Wow.
Goat's milk, people drink goat's milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Well, these folks were drinking goat's milk on their farm, and these goats were grazing on the pasture that was being aerated, or what's it called when you water the lawn?
I forgot.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah.
me too. But anyway, so
Yeah.
they were watering the pasture,
Yeah.
and they mixed the goats' feed with the water, and they were letting the goats drink the water from the well on the farm. Turned out that a landfill about 15 miles away had a cyanide contamination. These paint cans, is before the EPA's regulations.
Mm-hmm.
These paint cans had a cleaner in the paint cans that was cyanide based. And so these paint cans were a great distance below all the heavy weight of all the waste over the years at the landfill.
Mm-hmm.
And rain and so on getting it. And finally these cans burst, and the cyanide got down through the landfill's basin, accessed this aquifer, got to this aquifer on this well water supply on these people's home.
Wow.
And these people ended up being poisoned from their own goat's milk because the goats were drinking water that was high in cyanide. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
I mean, again, there's just all kinds of stories that people just don't think. These people built a $5 million home, Christina, a $5 million home in a city on a city water supply. And this is another story. Their 3-year-old was showing learning disabilities. Now they're on city water.
Yeah.
They've taken every precaution to put the right stuff in their home, a $5 million home. To make this long story short, they contacted us because the doctor said, your son has high levels of lead in his system. First thing you want to do is test your drinking water. So they contacted the city utility. The city utility sent their report. They showed that they didn't have any high levels of lead in the water coming from the utility. But the utility was only responsible for the water to the water meter. From the water meter, the supply line coming in the home, the homeowner was responsible for. Well, they didn't replace that when they built this home. They put everything good inside the home, but those feed lines had broken down, the infrastructure broken down inside of them, and they were leaching lead. And so their son had been drinking water, anything that they mixed, Kool-Aid, whatever they were mixing with that water. And so his brain was not developing properly. So no matter what you think, you know about your drinking water, if you're on city water supply, treated water, or on well water supply, I'm here to tell you it's important to test your drinking water, because there's one person you can trust in this world, and that's the person you see when you look in the mirror.
Yeah, I love this because you just don't know what you don't know. It seems safe. You've been drinking it. It looks clear. There's no visual contaminants. Now, what's interesting to me also, and tell me what this is about, because I've been to different countries, visiting different areas, and the locals will be cool with the water, but the new people like me visiting aren't. Is it because your body gets used to a certain stuff,
concentration of bacteria? That's absolutely true.
Ah.
That's absolutely true.
Okay.
You build a resistance, but somebody, part of it's genetic. And so people who live in that area and they pass it through genetically, they have a resistance again to a certain level of that bacteria. But if that bacteria reaches a certain level, it doesn't matter. It even affects them. We actually partner with a lot of companies who go into developing countries. One entity drills the wells. A second entity provides some type of disinfection for the wells. Even in places where they don't have electricity, there's ways to disinfect the water for the wells. But they didn't have a way to know the level of bacteria and if the concentration of chlorination was strong enough, because they have rainy seasons, they have drought. So the conditions were changing for the well water. So we got involved and started providing our do-it-yourself bacteria test kit, which is the most accurate coliform testing bacteria kit in the world. It's the fastest. It'll test down to 1 CFU, and it's all do-it-yourself for coliform bacteria, including E. coli. And we donate thousands of those test kits through the mission groups at our church and through these teams who go to developing countries to drill these wells and provide disinfection. So they have bad water in a lot of developing countries, they do build a certain resistance to a certain level of bacteria. You and I aren't used to that. So when we go there, if there's small amounts of E. coli in there, we're in the bathroom within 24 hours, Christina. Not good.
Tell me, I've been there.
Yeah. But if those levels get high enough, they're in the bathroom too. It's not good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been fascinating. So much I didn't know and to pay attention to, because I do buy all my water just because I don't like the way the tap water tastes. But there's so much more to think about. You are bathing with this water. You are washing with this water. It's not just drinking it. If you do buy it outside and think I'm fine, you might not be, because you're also bathing and using it and boiling with it. Sometimes potatoes or...
the definition of potable water is water by the US EPA. The definition is water that you drink, cook with, and bathe in. That's what a potable water supply is.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely correct. You don't know, but having the opportunity, access to someone like us. I mean, our test kits are on Amazon, Home Depot, safehometestkits.com. Our kits are accessible whether you want to do it yourself. Our ultimate water test kit was just named by the Good Housekeeping Institute as the best overall water test kit in the United States for 2021. It tests 200 different parameters in one test kit. You send it back to our lab. We provide you in-depth lab report. Then you can take that to someone who can provide you a water treatment system, Christina, based on our lab report, and they can hone in and provide that accuracy to custom build you a water treatment system. I drink only RO water or bottled water. I don't drink tap water anywhere I go.
Yeah, I can see why. You're very attuned to it. And hopefully all of our listeners and myself now are. Thank you so much. How can people get their own kits, find out more about it? And also, I want you to share with them. I hear you're doing great work. Can they donate? Because you're giving away to other countries that need help. Can they donate as well?
Sure. Yeah. They can actually go to our website and they'll see the entities that we provide. Every test kit that we sell, we make a donation. A portion of every test kit sale is donated to people like Active Water, Water for People, Charity Water. We have 5 different entities that we donate to for every sale. They don't have to go through us. They can actually donate directly to those entities that they can see on our website. So that they can go there and do that anytime. But they can get our test kits at safehometestkits.com, Amazon.com, HomeDepot.com, Menards.com, or they can actually go into the stores at Menards and pick up our kits. We're making big presentations to Lowe's, Home Depot, CVS, Walgreens. We're hoping soon you'll be able to get our test kits just about anywhere in the U.S., all 50 states.
This is fabulous. I have to thank you and all the people that work in your company to put forth this very important service to keep our drinking water safe. Thank you so much, Chris Myers.
We're happy to do it, and thank you for having me.
You betcha. Take care.
Thank you.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.